So today, you're going to begin composing your essay for the Hotel California song that we listened to last week. Now, I really want to focus on structure on this essay. And so the first thing I want to talk about is, as you start writing your essay, I don't want you to write your introduction or your conclusion until the very end. I want you to work on your body paragraphs. The very first thing you need to do is pick which of the four prompts that you want to write about. One is, you can see the slide show on the assignment. One is that Hotel California, the song, is an allegory of depression. The other is that it's an allegory of drug addiction. The third one is that it's an allegory of what it's like to be in hell in the afterlife. And the fourth one is a little more complicated. It's more about hedonism, living for the moment and not worrying about the future or consequences of your actions, just living to feel good, and materialism and shallow living. So, but I want to review for you, you learned this last year, but I want to review for you the body paragraph structure. And I'm using the same structure that Miss Wilbur used, the Texas format for body paragraphs. So, the body paragraphs are different than introductions and conclusions in that they do the lifting of the essay. They do the heavy work. They're the more important part of your essay. But it's also the one that we tend to have taught you the least. First of all, what you need to have picked your actual topic. And you can look at those four topics and you can take that prompt and actually turn the prompt into your thesis statement. So for example, if you're picking the one on depression, you can simply take that prompt and turn it into a statement. Hotel California is an allegory of depression. Period. That's your thesis statement. Does not have to be more complicated than that. Some teachers teach that you have to mention each of your main points in the thesis. That is not really necessary. And that works fine when you have a short essay, 3 points or less. But if you have more major points than that, you don't want to mention all your points in your thesis. That's that makes a sentence that's very unwieldy. So, you have to have decided kind of what your topic is, kind of drafted your thesis, have your thesis statement in mind, and then you can go into writing your body paragraphs. I want you to understand something with this essay in particular that I see a problem. The first problem that I see with body paragraphs, particularly in the Hotel California essay, is students will start with a quote. Do not start body paragraphs with a quote. The quotes from the song is your evidence. It should never, your example, your evidence should never be at the beginning of your body paragraphs. So, the first thing you want is your topic sentence. Whatever prompt you've picked, whether that's drug addiction or depression or allegory of hell or shallow materialism, you need to have your topic sentence make a statement about the song reflecting that. So my topic sentence needs to be an attribute of depression. And I'll show you an example here of a body paragraph that I wrote off of this for you to look at and mimic. Then you go into explaining. You're still not going into your example yet. You need to explain a little bit more. This topic sentence is just that. It's one sentence. It hasn't explored the full idea. It's given the direction that the paragraph's going to go. So you need to explain a little bit. Then you use that example. This is where your quote, your lyrics from the song will go. And prove the point, support the point that you have made in your topic sentence and your example. Then analysis. This should ideally, in perfect writing world, be the biggest portion of your paragraph. It's not enough just to say, point, I supported my point, I supported my point, and then I'm done. You need to tell me why this is important, why this is significant. And again, I'm going to show you in the sample. Now, in a much longer paragraph, you want to kind of summarize your idea so that people realize you're finished talking about that element and you're going to move on. This is where you'd also have transitions, which we'll talk about later on. Once we've gotten through this essay, we'll start addressing transitions and those sorts of things. So let's look at the sample document that I have here. And I have highlighted the different sections of this. So, I have my topic sentence. This is a body paragraph now. This would be my first body paragraph, in fact, after my introduction, which we haven't written yet. So, I have my, in the green there, or the blue, I have my topic sentence, my T in the Texas format. Depression often seems like a dark journey down an isolated road that one is forced to take alone. While I'm using my own words, I am, in a way, mimicking those first lines of the song. I'm putting those people who are familiar with the song in the idea that depression is this journey, but I'm also making them think about the lyrics without actually having a direct quote. Then I move into my explaining. What do I mean by that? Understand something. Remember, you are trying to take your audience through your thought processes. Writing is a mental map that you're creating so that the reader mimics the thought processes you went through, and it's a way of organizing your thoughts. So don't assume that they know what you're talking about. For one, I may have somebody that's not familiar with the song or not familiar with depression. So I need to give a little bit of explanation of what I mean by that. This is reflected in the first stanza of Hotel California. Notice, Hotel California is a short work, so I have it in quotes. Long works, you italicize them when you're typing. Short works, songs, poems, that sort of thing, you put in quotation marks, short stories as well. This is reflected in the first stanza of Hotel California, where the narrator is driving alone as he struggles through the long, dark night of depression. So I'm saying, I'm telling what the lyrics I'm revealing what the lyrics in the first stanza are saying, but I'm also linking them to depression. I'm bringing these two ideas together. And I'm using metaphor here. It's okay to use literary devices. In fact, you should. Now I move into my evidence, or my example from the song itself, my direct lyrics. As he drives on that, quotation marks, dark desert highway. I use ellipses here because I don't want to do all three lines when only parts of the quote works for me. Quotes should not be unnecessarily long. Every part of a quote you put in should serve the purpose of your paragraph. So let's start again. As he drives on that dark desert highway, ellipses, he sees a shimmering light, and his head grew heavy, and he had to stop for the night. Now, I've created kind of an issue here, because I'm in present tense, and I did insert statements to make that fit into my paragraph, but I didn't fully do it. Because I'm talking present tense, I go present tense, and then grew heavy. That's past tense. Ideally, I would have either fixed that, or I would, by either going past tense, the narrator drove alone as he struggled through the long night of depression. He drove on that dark desert highway. He saw a shimmering light, and his head grew heavy. So that's a little bit of an error that I didn't notice when I typed this. That's okay. That's something that when I look at and critique your essay, I'm going to point that out and say, hey, you need to make sure you're staying in the same tense. Don't worry about that too much. First, we're getting ideas down. You're going to turn your rough drafts into me, and that's the sort of feedback I'll be able to give you and explain for you. Now, I've got this. This is where a lot of my students stop, and I think that's a product of the STAR test, the Texas State STAR test. The state doesn't give you enough lines to be able to write a really good paragraph with analysis. But there really should be more, and we're beyond that test. So I want to make sure that you understand. After the evidence, don't assume that you thought you've proved your point. You haven't yet proved your point. You've just really introduced it and made your statement. Now you need to bring the evidence. Now you need to show the reader your thinking process and guide them on that mental map of your writing through the thought process that you have. Now I need to explain about depression and about how the song fits in. Often people suffering with depression describe it as a darkness, isolation, and weariness that they desperately want to find rest from. They struggle to reach that reassuring light and friends ahead of them, hoping the place is something that will drive the inner darkness away and be a place of paradise. Unfortunately, many who reach that place believe that their troubles are over, but they soon learn the place they are is no better. Now, one thing I could have done better with this is I could have mentioned that the song a little bit more here, because all of these ideas are in the song, and I kind of hit that, but I don't explicitly say that. So I could say that they struggle to reach that reassuring light, just like the man in the song, Hotel California. When he arrives at that place, it seems like a place that will chase the darkness, but it just gives him more problems. So I could link a little bit closer, but this is not horrible. Now, I'm done talking about that particular stanza, the first stanza. And your first body paragraph, I think, really should be over the first stanza and how it fits whichever prompt you've picked. Then the second body paragraph could be over the second stanza, the third over the third stanza, and that's the number of body paragraphs that we're writing. So I need to close up this paragraph here. Show that I'm done with that and going to move in another direction. They still continue to face the continued struggle with the beast of depression. I've got a little repetition there that I might cut out in a final draft, but I'm getting my ideas down right now, so I can make some changes with that. So what we have here is, overall, just to sum up this, let me bring it, even though you might not be able to really read it, I'm going to post an image of this with it labeled already, but you have your T for text, for topic sentence. You have your E for explanation, your explanation. You have your X for example. Also, I call it evidence. Then you have your A for analysis. And then you have your S for your summary and move on. Those of you who are not struggling writers, who are confident in their writing, who have traditionally done well, you don't have to pay as close attention to that because you're going to naturally fall into the natural logics of writing. Those of you who really struggle with writing, I encourage you to follow kind of this pattern. Build your essay structurally like you would build a house. You have to have certain elements in order to make your writing make sense. So I'm going to post this with the assignment. I will then later post a video with introductions and conclusions where I will show you a sample of my own introductions and conclusions. I am going to have you submit one body paragraph for me to look at and critique before you turn in your whole essay. Same thing with the introduction and conclusion. That way I can look over them very quickly, give you some feedback, make sure you're on track, and if you're not, then I can help you before you before you submit the full essay with many errors. If you have any questions, please email me. Let me know. I'm happy to do individual videos to answer questions or just type an answer if I can do that.